Hello again, and welcome. We're going to be running our lovely mono blue Belcher, but we are go ahead and select a palpable printing here for this guy. But we're going to be trying a new build here. I've seen a couple people play this as a build that's trying to take advantage of the card Flare of Denial, which, if you're not familiar with, is a 3-mana counterspell, but it can be cast for free by sacrificing a non-token blue creature. So obviously we need to up our creature count. We do have the benefit of our hydroelectric specimen being a land or a creature. This one is playing 4 Harbinger main. We actually cut down on subtleties, which might seem odd, but we are going up on other creatures, obviously. We play 4 of Tamio. Tamio's just an all-around great card especially because she's like a strong turn 1 play against Boros Energy or any frog decks. So it's like against counterspell decks, she allows you to build up card advantage. Against aggro decks, she blocks well. Really fills the role really well. And especially if you ever draw a second one, you don't mind Flare denying sacrificing one of them. A spicy one of Teferi, you'll see one here and one on the side. I've heard people talk very highly of them, so I want to test running one main. This is to try to beat all those frog decks, as well as there's even some Izzet control decks out there. But you can fetch him up with Waterlog Teachings. I'm looking at the list. We're going to drop the Selendi Vision and add a 4th one of Waterlog Teachings, because it can get Teferi specifically. The Thunderclap Trainer is the other one that kind of rounds out. We obviously always were playing 2 Thassa's Oracle. I skipped over that because that's essentially part of the combo. But the Trainer, we're not often, if ever, I don't know, I'd be surprised if we actually do the offspring of it. But just think of a 2-mana 1/2 that can grab any, in our deck essentially it can grab any land or interaction piece or combo piece. All it doesn't hit is our other creatures. The benefit of this is, normally he can't grab lands, but in our deck, all our lands, except for the hydroelectric specimen, are non-creature, non-land spells. So, it kind of fills that 2 slot. Being able to play this on 2, grab the Seagate Restoration so that we have an untapped source on 4, keep up Flare Denial, and maybe even like a Force Negation or Subtlety, right? It's just very strong. I like playing 4 Harbinger main. That we can take out in the matchups are bad. Our sideboard's similar. There's some slight changes to it to like accommodate the fact that we're playing Flare Denial and not disrupting Shoal, and cut down on subtleties. So it's like we have the subtleties here, the matchups where we want it, and we might be trimming on like Force and Negation. We can bring those in. Stern Scolding seem a must right now because of how much they hit, how wide of a spell this is. Same is true with Spell Snare. Got a Spell Pierce here as well. One of those snapbacks I decided to throw on the sideboard along with this, and then 3 Commandeers, and the 2 Brazen Bowers are pretty standard at this point, so we'll go ahead and jump in. Of course, typically when I wait to click that button, it takes longer. But I've been having a lot of fun playing the deck. I've seen that it has gained some popularity, some more, big name streamers or whatever, and I think even the official Magic channel stream someone playing the deck, so it's showing up on people's radar. It's pretty consistently in the 5.0s, so this is just another version. There's a lot of room for testing, right? I think there is kind of a course 75 or a course 70 at least, with a few flex spots in the sideboard and a few flex spots in the main board, but I still believe that there's probably a build out there that plays main deck just counterspell. And maybe there's a build out there. I was looking at this list and thinking like maybe we're getting close to just like running a Cavern of Souls because we're playing all these wizards and playing one land. Anyways, it's interesting to think about. This hand is close, but we're not keeping a 1 lander without preordain, where we can't even activate the clues off of Atamio. Like, it's just, we're not gonna get there. It's it sucks otherwise because like it's a decent looking hand. We could pitch the memory to subtlety or force. We can play this, but we just need this like Tamio to be a land, or one of the combo pieces to be a land. I think we're keeping this. We're gonna bottom the Thoracle because we already have double trainer. We do have a win con. Of course, the version that I put into the league does have the one of Solemnity Vision, so that's supposed to be waterlogged, but hopefully it doesn't, bite us. Looks like we're playing against the Eldrazi ramp. Popular deck. Or Through the Breach, not necessarily the ramp. Both the ramp and Through the Breach are playing this Grove and the Talisman, so it's probably the Breach version. I think that's more popular. I don't think it makes much difference which land we're playing. Because we're not playing Shoal anymore, we don't have to care so much about, like, normally I'd always play the Vision first because I keep a 2-drop and a 3-drop in my hand, but that's less relevant. I don't think they're going to go wide, so I don't think this will ever see play. I think we're probably going to be bolting ourselves to Thunderclap next turn. We hope to draw like a Flare or a Force because we need interaction pretty quickly against this deck. It's nice that they had to use their Posage to play at least. We don't see any of their double producing lands. Harbinger is a great draw. I think we still risk it, so to speak, because we're not leaving ourselves with an untapped land, but we can grab it with the trainer here, ideally. 1, 2, 3. So they could play an Ugin's Lab and Through the Breach. It's pretty unlikely. The problem is, if they're just making land drops and we play Harbinger, they could still play a 4th land and cast Through the Breach. I think we want the Force more than anything. Of course, then they know we have the Force. Yeah, I think we need to take the Force in case of the Through the Breach version. Back and forth, back and forth. I guess I really want to be able to cast this Harbinger next turn, so I'll take that. Like I said, the Force loses some value. If they know we have it, they could just wait and Through the Breach on our end step, so we'd have to like leave mana open again. Oh look, we weren't gonna be able to force. We made the right decision here. Although if we draw an untapped land, then we could have had both. But I think this was definitely the right choice. Makes sense that their main deck in this. It's probably a one-of that they go. What are they doing? Target player. Okay, it's weird they're doing this on our upkeep. I guess they really didn't want this to get Force of Negationed. They left me. We could have. Huh. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can still Through the Breach now because they'll have 4, 5 with the red. I mean, we don't have interaction for it anyway. I think we have to do this and hope. The nice thing is now this Vision will come in untapped as an island, so we can still memory next turn. But it will depend on what their play is if we're going for it, so to speak. Because we could double Trainer or Trainer and Preordain and leave up 1 mana. No play's nice. They have the Temple. But because we saw this, I'm pretty much sure they're on Breach. I guess are they going to Breach on our upkeep? It's not when you want to do it, friend. You want to do it on my end step, I promise. Because I don't need to show the reveal cards. Did they fail to reveal? I just realized. No, they got the Talisman. That's right, and they played it. Okay. Okay. What is the play here? I don't know. My 2 options are jam memory and we win next turn. I'd leave both, what's it called? Thoughtless Oracles in case they try to Kozilek's command us, because they do have colorless. They can cast it. So that's option 1. Option 2 is we play Thundercap, try to find either Flare or Force to start insulating us from dying. Flare would be ideal. Force is only good on their turn, so they could still get it off on our turn. Because we could play 1. If we already hit it on the 1, we can play Tamiyo and Preordain. If we haven't, we want to dig the second one, because it sees 4 cards, whereas this only sees 3 max. Yeah, I think I'd rather play the... Because we have Harbinger kind of locking him out, I think I'm going to go the more interactive route. Might be wrong. They could have nothing, but it seems unlikely. I mean, they scryed a card to the top with Kozilek's command. They kept a hand that didn't really have acceleration. You know, like it seems to indicate they were ready. What are we doing? Are they Kozilek's command? Exile 1, 2, 3, 4. They can exile this, and they're gonna draw a card. I can't do anything in response, unfortunately. So we're losing our Harbinger. I'm really glad we took the memory plan, assuming they already have a breach set up. Of course, now they're going to be able to make it uncounterable. So maybe I should have just gone for memory and like hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Problem is I don't have enough permanents to like untap and cast my Thassa's Oracle. But if I play out Tamiyo and Preordain, I could have enough permanents to like go for it next turn and still survive it. Well, I'm at 15 life, so I can't survive an Emrakul. They left 2 tops, so they liked some of what they saw. I mean, I guess we take the... Well, no, because this just makes it uncounterable force counter. Oh, no, I didn't... I was trying to zoom in. Oh, well. Also should have played this out first, so I entered as an island, so I can get this Tamiyo out. I guess I'm still hoping to just draw a flare. We did not get a flare. And we've looked at 8 plus 12 card, 20 cards. They could still go for it and just pay 2 life, and I can't actually force it, so I assume they're going to do that. Through the breach, can't be countered. Try our best. Only has Annihilator 3, so I guess we're not actually dead. Anchor creatures will go to 5. Huh. Very interesting. Oh, let's Preordain first. Now we draw a flare, of course. Subtlety's pretty useless. I'll take the flare because I'm playing out the Tamiyo. I'll play the land so that next turn we can memory. We have a chance. They're saying there's a chance. They've already played 2 commands as well, but they kept double top. What else did they have that they kept top? If it wasn't an Emrakul. What do we got here? The evoke. We're evoking. No. Devour. I guess it's dying anyway, so. Oh, it can't be countered, that's right. Never mind. That was dumb. That is what you call a stupid play by me. So now we are dead. Not that flare would have saved us if we kept it. This can jump for a turn, but I don't actually know how we're gonna beat this card. Man, we were so close to hitting that flare. If I played the land first and done the I forget how deep it was with the preordain. We might have actually hit it off of that thunderclap if we had double thunderclap that turn. So them having the one Kozilek's command to set up the second Kozilek's command in order to still be able to exile our Harbinger was very good against us. What do we need against them? Borrower and Snapback are actually great. Spell Pierce probably isn't good enough most of the time. Flood Maw, I guess Commandeers essentially act as a counter spell to their breaches. I know they can kind of play a flare game too, but we do have the 4 Harbingers to slow that down. Subtleties are pretty useless, and Fury is not super effective here. What else do we want to cut? I want to keep Harbingers. I need to keep Forces and Flares. I don't think we're really cutting our creature base. Maybe we can trim unlike Tamio's. Makes our flares marginally worse, but we also can just cast them. Obviously they have the land that makes this useless, so it's like we really need Harbingers. This might be better than Flare, but I don't think we want to cut flares. And having 1 or free ways to just bounce their Ulamogs is fantastic. Maybe I don't. I'm bringing in 2 creatures, but they're more expensive. I haven't sideboarded with this, if you can't tell. I don't think I really want to cut preordains, and I don't know about counting any counter spells. Thunderclaps are great. I want to keep some Tamio. Let's only bring in 1 of these because I'm bringing in the Snapback and the Into the Flood Maw. I'm going to cut 1 flare. And play 61 cards. I forgot. I submitted a 61 card list. That's funny. I just added the Teferi and couldn't figure out what else to cut. The double here is a little annoying. We don't have a creature for flare that we can cast soon, but I don't think we're mulliganing a 4-land hand with interaction and, combo insulation, so this is pretty good. They got Gemstone Caverns going on over there. Yep. Exiling the Devourer, yeah. It's like the perfect start, having played that deck. Love to see it. You get to have 6 or 7 drop out there so that your Ulamogs are big, and you get the trigger to draw a good card, and you start off ahead on mana. So it's like win-win-win. They exiled a Breach and a Thought Knot. Interesting. It's basic forest. So I wonder. I guess maybe they took the lab. They just needed. They have to already have a breach if they exiled one. They can breach on their turn 2 here. Not much we can do. Well, we did draw a 2-drop. So I'm going to play out the Specimen as a land, because if I'm sacking the Thoracle to use Flare, then I have Sync next turn, maybe. Whereas the Thoracle next turn isn't really doing much for me at that point. have to remember that what I click just goes top. There's not like a scry ability. You just like click one. So I'll just put the force on top. Well, we have this. I'm gonna go for the turn 2. They exiled an Ulamog and they've exiled a Devourer. So must have the Emrakul? Oh no, they're Myco spawning. Don't think I want to counterspell this 3/3 because like their trigger is really what matters. One question, yeah. Next turn I'm just gonna play Waterlog Teachings, and then I'll have Force and Flare. Belcher does feel marginally worse when you don't get to Lotus Bloom. Ever. Huh. They didn't get the Boseiju. Makes it uncounterable, that's surprising. We'll play out this. We can't really hold up Sink into Stupor anyway, as far as like we're not gonna have 3 mana, and we need to untap Source next turn to hopefully just go jam Belcher and hope it wins. Sure, swing for 3. I'm not gonna block. This card just reads sack, cast Flare. It has no other text that I care about. We didn't get breached. Surprising. Excuse me. I'm genuinely curious what's going on over here now. And an Emrakul. So they exiled a breach but didn't have another one? Or they're just playing around with counter magic? I don't know. Devourer gets to exile this. This is not uncounterable this time, so this time this makes more sense. Because this is going to get exiled anyway. Okay, nothing else. Weird play. Slendy Vision. I do think we'll go ahead and jam here. They do have things that could interact with this, but if I go for memory, I only have one more Thoracle now, and so then we can't like double stack for the insulation from Kozilek's Command. We can throw another card in there. There's some decent options. Because we have 4 lands, we could just throw a Preordain in there. If we draw the Preordain first, we can activate, draw the Thassa's Oracle. I guess they could still then respond to the cast of the Oracle and make us draw a card and we lose. It's a little messy here. Okay, we got there. Even if this had resolved, we weren't dead this turn, so weird. It seemed like such a good start for them. I'm really confused as to why they exiled this through the reach. Like, what do they keep? The Myco Spawn or the Ugin's Lab? And maybe without the Ugin's Lab, they just didn't have mana. I don't know. And they just drew some lands, I guess. Any changes? Changes. Snapback and like Brazen Borrower and Into the Floodmaw are good against Breach, but are actually really bad against like Myco Spawns and Devourers. So maybe I just go in on another Flare and get rid of Snapback or Floodmaw. We'll get rid of the Floodmaw. Keep the free one. See how game 3 goes. Well, we got our old friend Harbinger. We only have 2 lands, but we have 2 Thunderclaps, so our chances of getting another one are very high. And a Commandeer is nice. Insulation against Breach. I don't know what we could breach. We're not breaching in anything because it has more value to us. Something else. Again, playing up Boseiju is nice for us. Excuse me with the yawning. It is currently. Show me. You're not gonna show me my bar. 10:30. My kids got me up at the magical time of 5 a.m. Can you pass to my turn opponent? Thank you, thank you. Another 2-drop. Look at me, I'm just swimming in 2-drops over here. I almost bolted myself for no reason, but luckily I hit no. Take Ozil's command, I think we commandeer that. We say can choose new targets. We can't choose new modes, but we can choose new targets. But they don't have enough mana. No talisman either. Wonder what their keep was. Wow, we are just drawing thunderclaps for days. I'd love to take that flare denial, but we want our third land here more than anything. It also gives our opponents less of an idea of what we have. And I think next turn we're just jamming the Harbinger before anything, because it takes them off of ever being able to. They'll be able to cast this for 1 in response, and maybe we just steal it. That might just lock out the game at that point. I think it's worth it. We could do this in our upkeep. Might still steal it. I think I'm gonna get rid of a trainer and the Thoracle, because they won't be able to cast another Kozilek's command with this resolving. Although maybe I want both Thoracles. Get rid of 2 trainers. Get rid of 2 trainers. Thank you. I would like to change both targets to me. Bottom that. So get to draw for that and draw for turn. Beautiful. We'll play this one out. Yes. We'll resolve this, which I don't know that they have an answer to it now. I guess they might have a what's it called in the sideboard? Dismember. It's pretty aggressive, but I mean that's why we play Commandeer, is to be aggressive. It's not, you don't always get to steal their #1 spell or whatever. Hey, nice island you got there. Having this is a big deal. They, like I said, they're nowhere near getting to cast it. They could draw a talisman, but they don't play basic waste, so we turn off a lot of their stuff. We'll play this out because it comes in untapped. And do we memory this turn? I think I wait. I'm going to go ahead and wait till next turn, because next turn I can memory plus Thoracle, and right now I can hold up Sink into Stupor. Because of the spawn token, I can sack this to cast the memory and keep up 2 blue, and I can leave Thoracle on my deck in case they make me draw, and cast this, and I have plenty of blue devotion. So next turn we'll win, and for now we still have interaction. This is, seeing the power of playing mono blue, like playing the fair game, so to speak. What you got there? So that's match 1 against Through the Breach Eldrazi. Interesting that we lost game 1 and then won the post-sideboard games. Obviously Commandeer did shine there, but you'd think we'd be more favored in game 1. Typically when you're playing like a dedicated combo deck, your game 1s tend to be better. But we're pretty unique in that although we might be dedicated to our combo and that we have a full like 10 cards that are all combo focused, we also are, full of interaction. And even our lands are interaction. Wow, that's so good. Here we go. We're going into game 2. Round 2. Match 2. Ross JSG. We would like to be on the play, Ross. This is hand capable. We got 3 lands, our good old friend Harbinger. We got our 2-drop with our Flare Denial backup, and a combo piece. We'll say, yes sir, we shall keep. We'll play the specimen out first. We have a couple dudes, as I've called them in our deck title, to sack. to flare. But obviously Thundercap is like our favorite thing to sack. So like having him on turn 2 into flare is just great. He can also grab. I don't know what he's going to grab at this point. Whatever the best piece is against this, whatever we're playing. Right now, we don't really know a lot, but that's why our opponent played it this way. So we'll just go ahead and cast him. We can just assume it's, what are we going to assume? Jeskai is probably the most popular deck right now that is playing. Wait, why can't we pick him? Oh, non-creature. Do we take the force? We already have 4 lands now. I think we go ahead and take force. I might live to regret this, but I think we're doing that. Harbinger might not be great in this matchup, depending on what their build is and how they fetch and what their second land is. If they're straight Izzet, this is worse. If they're Jeskai, this is better. Could maybe turn off their ability to cast Flage. They are Grixis. We're seeing the frog. Hallelujah. I love this flare. I like this card already. I'll tell you how many times I've lost a frog. Too many. Turn 2 frog is just very good. So good. Then we'll just say, hey, remember that time you didn't have islands? Me neither. See what they say to that. And I assume this survives. I don't know what they have, and they probably have a basic. They probably have a basic mountain. They probably don't have a basic swamp, but we could even protect this if we needed to, which is nice. The problem is they can still cast all their counter magic, like they likely are playing counterspell. So I think we're actually gonna pass, and now that we drew the teachings, we're gonna actually try the teachings for Teferi. Because if I try to memory and they just counter it, or they just hold up their counter magic for our Thoracles, that would feel really bad. We don't want to lose game 1 because they get to bring in consigned memories, which are so good against all our win cons. So, same time, we'd be giving away our kind of Teferi line in a game that like looks like we maybe locked it out. But I'm gonna play optimally. And we do not try to cast this on our turn. We go to pass, cast it with force back up. It's nice that we drew something here that we don't mind pitching to force. And right now, Flare isn't actually that good of a draw because we don't want to sack this. We're not going to want to sack this, but we could have double counterspell. Plus, they might play something like Spell Pierce, but they're likely not. If they have Spell Snare, it doesn't, do anything against either of these cards. So I'm hoping they just have a single counterspell and we can get them. If not, if they double counterspell here, then we just jam memory. Hardcast their force. That makes sense. Well, now they have to have a second force. I think we jam it. Do we jam it? The problem is they could still just have another counterspell for the actual Thoracle. I could put 2 Thoracles on top of the deck, or leave 2 Thoracles in the deck. But maybe I need to leave Thoracles plus a Flare of Denial or something. 3 cards and wait. But the more turns I give them, the more counterspells we're going to draw. I think with the draw of Thunderclap Trainer, is Offspring 4 additional, so does it cost 6? Yeah, so I can't do that. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of keep the beats going. Wow, triple Tamio. Would have been real nice to draw one of them. And the deck's like, here, how about a double Jawari? I'm going to take one of them. Hold it as interaction. So we got 3 damage a turn after this, so it's a 4 turn, still 4 turn clock, but chance, man, they are drawing lots of lands. The chances of them drawing their basic mountain are pretty low. What do they have for 2 blue? Oh, they're playing Murktide? This isn't going to stop a Murktide, unfortunately. Yeah. That's unfortunate for us. Shoot. Well, force wouldn't have helped either. I guess I'm just going to try to jam. If this resolves, then we'll make some decisions, but for now... The nice thing about this deck is I often have a lot more devotion to where, like, playing a Thoracle... Maybe I should have just kept this to pitch to force, but I'm not trying to resolve anything on their turn. They got a 3 turn clock on us, so... Excuse me. It's close, it's close. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Another force. It's not my favorite. I can't block anyway. Dead in 2 turns. Oh, do I have draws? I do think I have draws. Okay. Now it gets interesting. If I try to put a Flare Denial or something on the bottom and I draw that first, I'm going to be dead. Because at this point I only have 1 draw. My force negations aren't going to save me. So I do think we're just going to put double Thoracle and hope. The other option is... Yeah, no, I don't have any main deck card that can hit Murktide. If you haven't watched previous videos, the little trick, or the tip, I guess, it's not really a trick, but the tip is select everything until the until it says this, no more, none then cards. Then you can know you can unclick the cards that you want to draw. If you leave the Thoughts of the Oracle unselected, it's no way of telling, and sometimes you miss, you know, 1 card up here, over there, or the 1 card with different art, and it ruins your whole game. So. We'll be able to hard cast a forest at least as protection. So they have to have exactly, not exactly, they can have any combination of force and sync and counterspell. Unfortunately, because they have a lot of lands too. 3, 6. So counterspell. Well, they have to have counterspell for the Thoracle. Then they could have something else for my force. But they only have 4 cards, so let's hope. Well, unless they can somehow remove all these, I think we're good. It's weird that they like let the trigger resolve. Like, I don't know, he's got 1 card in his deck. Is this gonna work? Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Okay, well, we got there on the back of Harbinger that game. Bringing the other Teferi. I think we're going to want our subtleties here. I don't know. This is hard. We're going to want everything. Spell Snares and Stern Scoldingers are great. I think Spell Pierce loses its usefulness quickly, and because it doesn't tag the frog, I want things that hit frog and are flexible. This hits frog and Murktide. It's weird because like I also kind of want Commandeer, and I kind of want... Usually I'm bringing in Brazen Bower because they're good against a counterspell deck as a clock, but we have creatures now. Still haven't gotten to play around with Tamio yet, but... Okay, what are we taking out? I think maybe... we could take out the memory plan because it resolved multiple things, or counts on multiple things resolving, whereas like Belcher's just like we could jam it and it could resolve. Take out like this maybe. Leaving Belcher, we're bringing in Teferi. We have the Thunderclaps, we have the Harbingers, Tamios, Teferis. To a lesser extent the Hydros. Trim here. We're bringing in a bunch of, and yeah, we're going up to 4 subtleties as well. Commandeer is hard because it does cost us so many cards. I kind of want to bring in a Brazen, but I don't think I'm cutting any of these babies. Spellstar hits Counterspell, it hits Frog. I guess we cut the Scolding only hits Frog. Bring this in because bouncing Murktides can be really effective too. I'll do it like that. Is that correct? I don't know. Write a letter to your senator. Ask him. Did Jimothy, did he sideboard correctly? Isaiah Nogle, whatever you want to call me. I paid the one. It wasn't me. I think it's kind of, this is like one of the cards that's like helps equalize the fact that we're on the draw, and playing an untapped land with a spell snare is pretty, pretty good. Pretty much the best we can hope for. We also have Flare and Commandeer, so like we have some of our key interactive spells, and we are less all in on the combo after sideboarding. It's kind of the point, so let's see if we can make it work. Curious to see, he of course got Flooded Strand, which doesn't fetch Swamp or Mountain, so he can't actually play around our Harbinger here, which is funny. He put the other Flooded Strand in the graveyard, unsurprisingly. We're hoping to tag a turn 2 Psychic Frog right now. In 5, 4, 3, 2. No Frog! I'll tell you, the amount of times I've seen turn 2 Frog, of course he doesn't play it against me. Play the Isle out. Not really a difference between the Isle and the Veil there. I guess technically this is better to keep in my hand than the Veil, but I need lands, so I'm planning to play both of them out. I'd rather keep the teachings over anything because it can get Teferi. I feel like I've drawn my one of Selendii Isle more than any other card in my deck as far as consistency. Weird matchup. A long one too. This will probably be the last one. No threat. We're fine going long and him not playing threats. Ooh, we did draw an untapped land, so we could try to jam Harbinger here, but our only protection if we do that is Commandeer. Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. I could just play this to hold up Flare, but I think we're gonna just let this Spell Snare be our interaction and pass the turn. He could go for Murktide. Yes, no, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. So maybe I was supposed to play the untapped Specimen, but it's not gonna be a very big one. It's gonna be a 4/4, so I think we're fine spell snaring this. The other option is I could commandeer it, but I think we want to try to like resolve Harbinger. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm mad if he plays Black Source Frog after this, but yeah, that's what he's gonna do, isn't it? No, but he's holding up counterspell. I think we jam Harbinger, and then if we have to, we can ditch some teachings for counterspell. because he did not. He apparently isn't playing a basic swap. Yeah. Because the one downside is like those teachings could turn into Furies, but if this resolves right now, I think we're in a good place. Nope. He had a force negation as well. Okay. Okay. So empty the hands of resources. I think I want to keep the teachings, but we're not going to shock ourselves, or bolt ourselves rather. So we got two counter magic plus a preordain out of their hand. They got essentially 2 lands plus a counterspell out of our hand and countered this. So we technically lost more cards, but I think in card quality he did 0 top. That's great. And because there's no threat in play, like I think I'm fine with how that went in the end. It's an easy play out as far as the land goes. We can hold up Flare and end step Waterlog. Yeah. I think we're just gonna go get Teferi. Question is, do I want to fight over this or want to like let the fact that their deck is playing like few threats? I think we're gonna let that resolve. It does mean they get a card into their hand, like a counterspell or a consign or whatever, but and they got their land, shock, holding up 3 mana, I guess. Interesting. The fact that we could, you know, play out lands or play them as spells is just great. Interesting. I think we just go ahead and take this. I do have 5 mana open. And I'll pass the turn. I think with this draw, we're actually going to try to Brazen Borrower first, because now they have to counter this and or remove it. And we hope that they don't remove it right away, and then we can try to like Teferi with the Flare back up. Psychic Frog might change that. No, I'll try to Petty Theft it, I think. I think that's okay. If he counters this, then maybe I just hardcast Flare, untap into Fury, because they have exactly counterspell for it, and if this resolves, I'm trying to think of what they have. We did see like Unholy Heat, right? They have 1, 2, 3. I only have 3 types in the yard. Isn't destroying this or exiling it, like he could just pick it up. I think I'm fine fighting over this. He can't force negation, but he might have spell pierce or something. Okay. We traded counterspell for counterspell there. Ooh, tempting. Tempting. The problem is at 1 mana, the cards he has that could stop this are very few, whereas he could still have force negation or just consign for that. So I do think it's correct to try to jam this here. I'm really surprised he went that route. So now he has to like get a 4th type and have Unholy Heat. If not, then we can just jam our Charbelcher, not care about counter magic. Thoughtseize? Oh, no, the frog. Yeah, that's fine. He can discard now to enable his Unholy Heat to kill this Teferi. Would be unfortunate. Yeah, is that what's happening? That is what happened. Okay. It's down to 2 cards, but I'm pretty sure he has a consign. bad song stuck in my head and I keep wanting to sing it. I'm resisting for your benefit. Question is, here do I want to just jam Brazen or go ahead and force him to like use the consign or counterspell? I think I'm going to force him to have it. I do think they have a consign here, but Frog's got to start drawing them cards, so I'd rather like force him to have it now than after. Yeah, that's fair. I think they would have counterspelled this as well, so like that would have been better based on what they had in their hand, but like that's their third counterspell. Like what were they? I don't know. I mean, we're gonna block this every time, I think. Not every time. I guess depends on how highly I value their draw versus them drawing. I'd rather them not draw and have to discard there. I think that that's better for us on average. Because like they're at one card in hand and one of their cards with a land. I don't know what they're holding. That's an aggressive force of negation. Okay. So now we are both top decking, except he gets to draw an extra card a turn. I mean, for this reason, maybe it was better not to top deck a heat. That's rough. Let's say we were actually in a decent place there to just race. We have to hope that he blanks off of this draw. Oh, he gets another draw. Blanks off of that one. He gets lots of redraws. I mean, we kind of do too, between the Thunderclaps, Preordains, our teachings. Of course, we got rid of, abused our teachings. Never mind. But we could also just draw another sink and bounce this. Reset the clock at least. That's not great. I do think I might have made a mistake blocking with Tamiyo. I think that was too aggressive in that. I do think playing out the Belcher when I did was fine. Forcing him to have it. Because if he had been holding this heat, or this, you know, a steam vents or whatever, would have been great. Problem with Frog is it is a snowball winner of games, so like we're pretty unlikely to win at this point. But there is still a chance. I'll stay in it for the dreams. Murktide's pretty good at ending it. Spellsnare does not hit that. That's it, folks. There's my thunderclaps. Do we want to go back in on these? I don't think so. It's just so risky against all that counter magic you saw. Pierce might be worth it. Again, you saw there is the danger of like, if we just draw our counter magic and nothing else, we are going to lose. If I had kept my Tamiyo there, though, I think we would have been in better shape. I think I'm fine with this. Maybe we want another one. Oh, I'll keep it. Keep it as. I don't know what I want to cut, honestly. I think subtleties are good just because it's a 3/3 flyer. 2, 3, 4 lands, Force, Tarbelcher, Harbinger. This thing would be so good against so many decks, although it doesn't feel great against this deck that we're facing. But say la vie. Notably we don't have interaction for Frog, and if they turn to Frog, that is bad for us. What is this? Preordain. Force it? No, I don't think we can afford that. Although I would like to mess up their game plan. I think that going down on card advantage just to do that is a little too aggressive. They know what we're drawing, so keep that in mind. Whatever this next card is, they are also familiar with. Harbinger. Could pitch it to a force negation, which would make them think we don't have it, to still have it. And like I said, they haven't fetched around it. I don't even know if they're playing basics. If they are, I assume it's just basic mountain and they haven't seen the Scalding Tarn. They've had deltas and well, there's the Tarn. So that's funny. Now they could fetch the mountain. But I'm much more interested in them being off of black mana. So if that's all they do, fetch mountain, that's great. They're gonna just unholy heat this. Yeah. That's fair. I can't do anything till their turn anyway. I could use force on their turn. But they're probably gonna frog. They bottom spell snare. That's interesting. I don't think snare is very good against us. Maybe they thought we played counterspell, but I mean, I guess it hits Thunderclap and Thassa as Oracle, but we cut our Oracle, so maybe they just didn't expect that. Double blue is better than blue black. I cannot force that, unfortunately. And he's a 6/6, so I really gotta. Huh. This is hard. The 1 mana open, like, what could it be? I guess our worst case is it's consign, and we could just try to jam this. I don't know if they have interaction for this once it's in play, really, other than their own Sink It to Stupor. If I want to try to Sink It to Stupor them, if I do it now, they have to have, like, exactly Spell Pierce. If I wait till their turn, I can back it up with Force, but if I wait till their turn, they get to untap, so then they could have Counterspell. Whereas they can force it right now. And it is, pretty likely they have Force, so Force will hit this or this on our turn. But we can pass their turn, try to sink this with Force backup. Is probably our best bet. I don't think Belcher is resolving this turn if we go for it. I just assume they have Force negation and or consign. If they happen not to, it obviously would be great. We would just win right now. And it's like we could take that risk. But I think we have a chance to win if we don't. So we're not going to take the risk. We're not going to try to jam Harbinger because it doesn't do much in the face of Murktide. And we're going to try to sink on their turn with this backup on the... We might just ditch the Hydroelectric just because this is a better attacker than that and does turn off them casting frogs. So if we can deal with this Murktide. So they still can't double counterspell. They can't counterspell plus force and negation. Like we're forcing them to fight with less resources now, and we get to have more resources. And it's done. Might not work, and that's okay. But it did. Okay. So the play we took worked. They definitely can't recast Murktide this turn. They could play a Black Source and get out Frog, but they didn't have that. We also got, a counterspell out, which is nice. So here we could try jamming this, but again, cancel, undo. We can keep up the spell snare. That's relevant. They might actually have counterspell right here. Force doesn't hit this, where it does hit this. So this is, we want to do this. Nope, they just have Unholy Heat again. Okay. Okay, well, at least they're not resolving a frog. Well, they could still resolve it, but they'll have to fight over it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're close to recasting that. I guess if they surveil, oh, they kept it top. So they like that card more than they like the chance of recasting their Murktide, so significant. Preordain or a expressive iteration. We're gonna hit this aggressively. I don't think they have a frog in hand currently, and this might draw the one. They might have kept that top. No, they shocked in, and they're gonna go for the Murktide. No, they're one short. Why'd they shock in? Maybe they have like force or something. Cancel. I want this one. This would have been really nice if we actually just drew a land there. I would have tried to double spell them and just go with the Belcher now. With 2 cards left, they have exactly force plus blue card. I mean force plus Murktide. We know one of their cards, so they play that Murktide. I think at this point we're probably just gonna have to jam this. It's still pretty likely they have a force and negation, but we could try to. What else could we? I mean, I can take a few hits from this, I suppose, but every draw we give them makes it more likely they have another answer. Yeah, I think at this point we're just behind in cards in hand and lands. It's really hard to fight back in the counterspell matchup when you're down lands and cards. Yeah. Hey, they played Darcy. Didn't even see that before. We could draw our Brazen Borrower, I guess. We have 1 card left. So Spirit Aim would have saw Jawari Disruption plus the first card here. Commandeer. So we wouldn't have been able to play an untapped land and still cast whatever last turn. He doesn't actually do much once this is in play, unfortunately, and neither does Commandeer. I'll go ahead and try to resolve Tamio, but we're dead in 2 turns. This isn't gonna stop him from casting anything at this point. I want to click this like 3 times. Just let me yield through the turn. Yeah, the force. He had the force. I did figure that. Like, I wasn't like, oh my goodness, he had force negation. I'm so surprised. Unholy Heat. Yeah, I figured. Oh, I could. Sorry. I was supposed to chump block the Murktide. Whatever. We're dead. I guess I could play this just as a blocker, but I feel like chump block is whatever. I'd rather hit that. I think I still have the 1 of Brazen Borrower. That's what I was digging for. But we didn't find it. Okie dokie. It was close. It was grindy. What was it? There was the game 2, right? Where I think if I valued keeping my Tamio, we might have been able to get there. But still got to see kind of how this deck can play. Also, someone might comment that like never side out memory. We should have just kept more combo in, but I don't really see any of those times there where like having memory was really any better than Belcher in this matchup, and just having more interaction I think was better. But possible maybe I wanted more Borrower. I just don't know what else we want to cut. I can't really afford to go down on lands, especially because my lands also interact. But I can't cut like the Thunderclaps, the Harbingers. It was fun to steal that game 1 there. Hope you enjoyed. Give me any feedback, any thoughts, question, comments, concerns, and hope you have a great day.